Next team, so is the Taiwan Stuttering Association. Welcome to StutterFest 2024, Taiwan Stuttering Association.
Thank you, Tom. We will be presenting as a team of three. Me, Hank, and Rick. We will present in the next 40 minutes. Hello, Hank, and hello, Rick. So let's start with my part. Hello, everyone. I'm Faith. Let me share my screen to all of you. I'm very happy to be part of this meaningful event. Thank you, World Stuttering Network, for organizing it. And thank you, Rick, for encouraging and inviting me to this activity. Let me start with a little self-introduction. I'm a registered speech and language pathologist, a specialist in stuttering treatment in the Chinese language. With over a decade of experience, I find myself especially passionate in stuttering treatment. I found Easy Speech, an online stuttering treatment center based in Hong Kong last year. Over 90% of my caseload are people who stutter, including adults and children. What I find most rewarding in my work is the unique alliance I form with my clients, encouraging people to spread your wings and soar. And so that's why I put it on the front page of my presentation. It is really satisfying to witness people realizing that they have magnificent wings and they can fly up high. Currently, I serve as the Vice President of Professional Clinical Education at the Taiwanese Stuttering Association. I enjoyed so much being part of our community. So today I would like to share with you what the Taiwanese Stuttering Association did in the last year, and also share with you some upcoming activities as well. It was the second Taiwanese Stuttering Cluttering Awareness Day, co-organized by Stuttering and Cluttering Institute in Taiwan, Speech Language Hearing Association, and Taiwanese Stuttering Association. We combined a hiking activity with online sharing on the 21st October last year. Dr. Edhood Yairi gave us an opening speech. We were so excited to meet him online. We admire him so much and learned a lot from him. And then on the next day, 22nd of October, we celebrated the International Stuttering Awareness Day by submitting an interview with a lawyer who works for an American law firm. She encouraged us of becoming a good communicator instead of a person who speaks fluently. And by the end of 2023, Hong Kong Stuttering Support Group and Taiwanese Stuttering Association co-organized an online talk. And I see one of our core member in Hong Kong Stuttering Support Group is in our meeting right now too. Hello, Catherine. And in the event last year, I was the speaker and I introduced different treatment approaches for adults who stutter. These approaches include fluency shaping techniques, stuttering modification strategies, and psychological approaches such as cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy. And the recording has been shared online on our Facebook page already. People can visit our page and look at the recording. Later on in March 2024, Hong Kong Stuttering Support Group and us co-organized again for another online talk. We invited Cynthia to share with us about how acceptance and commitment therapy can help people who stutter. She is a speech and language pathologist who has been especially trained to provide acceptance and commitment therapy. She introduced 6 basic principles of acceptance and commitment therapy and brought us through some practical mindfulness exercises too. We tried to explore the breathing process with curiosity, feel it as if it is the first time that we experience breathing. I find it very helpful in the stuttering treatment and for my personal life. Some experiences of stuttering can be painful and can be a suffering. Acceptance and commitment therapy is a very good way to help us face the suffering. We can move forward through difficult emotions such as anxiety, frustration, sadness, etc. We can put our energy into healing instead of struggling with negative emotions. And this kind of psychological approaches help us to apply the speech techniques in our speaking too. And I'm very excited to share with you that just a few days ago, on the 1st of May, we had a face-to-face meeting in Taiwan. As you can see in the photo, around 20 people joined the gathering this time. We were especially thankful to Li Shuang. She is the main organizer of this activity, and she is one of the founder of Taiwanese Stuttering Association too. She prepared some ice-breaking language games and an interesting mission game. After the activity, she becomes the role model of a lot of us. On that day, we were divided into 5 groups, and each group received a note with a specific mission written on it. What we have to do is turning off our smartphones, finding the target bubble tea shop, buy a drink, and return to the nearby metro station by walking. And she will be waiting for us at the metro station for the debriefing. It was very interesting because she intentionally created some stressful communication situations for us. She pushed us to the limit that we have to try our best to communicate with strangers in order to complete the mission. Talking to strangers, asking for directions, these are challenging. It was funny that we tend to choose someone who look patient and who look kind to talk to. The process was enjoyable, funny, exciting, and a little scary too. But the most important thing is we know we back up each other, and all of us have the potential to get better and better. Improving together is something powerful because we have greater power when we are not alone. And you can see from the photo that we gave a big clap to each other during the debriefing session because buying a drink without any technological support is astonishing for us. And also, by the end of this month, I will present some journal about stuttering to other speech and language pathologists. starting from the theories explaining the causes of stuttering to the treatment for people who stutter. And I think I will do it regularly, like every 1 to 2 months. Last but not least, I would like to respond to a question that Rick asked me a few months ago. What are the differences between stuttering treatment for Western people and Asians? I think there are so many differences, and today I will focus on 3 of them. First, cultural attitudes towards stuttering is different. There can be more stigma attached to stuttering in Hong Kong, Taiwan, or some other Asia areas. One common stigma is people who stutter are shy and can be less capable in communicating with other people. But this is not true. And unfortunately, sometimes people who stutter can believe in it and give up the chance of truly being themselves. The second thing is the difference in communication styles in the Western world and Asia. There is a preference for more indirect communication in Asia. Therefore, the ways of self-exposure or self-advertising are more carefully and detailed discussed during the treatment process. The third thing is the availability of resources. There are more stuttering treatment resources in the States, Australia, England, or some other English-speaking countries. Just like our previous speaker, he introduced the youth camp, summer camp during summer holidays for teenagers. We want to do it in Asia, but we have no previous experience and we don't have enough resources. So we can see that there are less resources, or say less therapists who are specialized in the stuttering treatment. And that's why I want to provide a stuttering service platform for the Chinese population by setting up Easy Speech. Our professional team gathers experienced Chinese-speaking therapists and provide information about stuttering on the internet. If you want to see more information about stuttering in Chinese, you may go to the Facebook page of the Taiwanese Stuttering Association. Also, if you are interested in more videos and articles about stuttering, you may take a look at the YouTube channel and Facebook page of Easy Speech. Once again, thank you, World Stuttering Network, for creating such a meaningful event today. And I would like to see if you have any questions about my sharing.
Yeah, well, just to answer your question very quickly, there are SLPs, speech therapists in Taiwan. They started a program about 20 years ago. There's like about 1,200, like 1,000. So there are not many licensed speech therapists, and then FACE is one of them. And then there are, but most of them focus on like stroke, aphasia. So not many specialized they don't specialize in stuttering. So even if they do specialize, their methods are outdated. So we can have a question answer in the end. So let's move on to Hank. So we have Hank. Hank is a proud member of the Taiwan Stuttering Association. He has a lot of experience and he's incredibly intelligent. So let's welcome Hank. Okay, Hank. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Faith and Rick, for the introduction. Pace was right that indeed in Taiwan or in general in Asian region, we started later. So especially in my early years, I didn't really get a lot of knowledge or support from the medical system in Taiwan. I will touch that later. So if I'd had known faith earlier, my path could be different. But yeah, I was asked to share my path, my way to my way working on my starter. So my name is Hank Xiong. I'm now living in the Netherlands, but at the moment I'm here in Taiwan with my family and friends. And last week I connected with the Taiwan Stuttering Association, and I was invited to give a quick story here. So I started since I was born. As early as I have the memory, I have the stutter. But in my early years, it was never a problem. That's probably also a cultural difference in Asia. So children in Taiwan, we value quiet children instead of children ask a lot of questions. So if you don't want to speak or you have some speech problem, you just be quiet and everything is really fine. And so in my early years, stutter was never a big problem for me. And luckily, I was also not left or bullied a lot by my classmates or other children as well. And things get worse when I was a high school student. There was a presentation which I failed miserably. So I couldn't speak. I couldn't finish one single sentence in that presentation. And I don't know why I prepared as hard as previously, but in that particular presentation, I couldn't say a word. And as a teenager, it's not cool, right? In front of the entire class, I couldn't say anything. And since then, I have big performance fear. I don't know what would happen. I prepare as hard as previous times, but I just don't know. It's not stable. If that happened every time, I might be able to have some other strategy, but it's not stable. And in my university life, I started to avoid. I went to all the courses, joined the first course, and make sure presentation is not a requirement for that course before I pick that one. And I couldn't avoid anymore when I was in my graduate school because there's a lot of speech involved. I have to discuss with my professor, my advisor, my classmates in my laboratory, and so on. And finally, I have to defend my master thesis research, right? And that was the first time I wanted to start to face this issue seriously. So I went to hospital. I tried to get help from speech therapists in Taiwan. It was about 20 to 25 years ago. Back then, we do have speech therapists in the hospital, but their main job is to help people after stroke, for example, to be able to speak. And sometimes they also help children who stutter, but not many of them truly understand adult stutterer. I remember there were conversations like it was more like me and the therapist did the research together. Sometimes I was asked, do you also stutter when you write? Yeah, that kind of. So don't get me wrong, I do appreciate that we work together, but honestly, on the other hand, I wasn't received any truly helpful advices. And at the same time, I also searched for other people who started in Taiwan. There were some enthusiastic people, more experienced stutterer who has more or less overcome the problem, stood up, helped others, organized session, but there wasn't really a systematic way to work on it. And those sessions quickly become complaints, sharing frustrations in life. And after a while, I quit. So that was the earliest Taiwanese stuttering organization. But I, to be honest, I just quit because we couldn't get much out of it either. And back then, I also searched the internet. I joined the National Stuttering Association in the US, and they sent periodicals overseas to Taiwan to me. Again, grateful for that, but it's hard for me to follow overseas. And so I struggled a lot, but I didn't get much progress. I also read some self-development books. Some of them recommend you to invest more on area you are good at instead of fight with something you couldn't change. So later I developed an attitude to live peacefully with my stutter. I chose a career that I thought, a profession I thought doesn't require much speaking, software development. And as you know, and every profession to some extent, later you always need to speak. You couldn't avoid it. I write a lot of emails, I send messages, but I don't speak much. And I work for a Dutch company. And then the manager in the Netherlands recommended to me to do something with my stutter, literally. So, and they will pay for it. And yeah, why not? Then I searched through the internet, and the McGuire program came at the top. So I in one of my business trip to Europe, I joined the McGuire program. I didn't know what to expect back then. I thought pretty much they will be like the previous program I joined. I didn't have high expectation. Now I look back over the years, I have achieved a lot, actually. So like 2 weeks ago, I make a big presentation online in front of almost 100 colleagues. And I had meetings with my clients, and I think the biggest one is I moved my family and myself to the Netherlands, to the headquarters. And it sounds easy, but it has a lot of speech related work. For example, you need to argue with the movers, with people who want to take advantage of you. You want to ask for a raise, which is not a common practice back in Taiwan. So those things are first times for me, and I'm open my arms trying it, and think it worked quite well. And one single advice I got is don't hide your stutter. Hiding your stutter only make things worse, but it's very intuitive to do so. You know you stutter might embarrass yourself, so you avoid it. But it does no help whatsoever. It only makes things worse. So there are ideas like deliberate disfluency, which is deliberately showing people that you stutter, and also disclosure, just tell people that you have a stutter and you are working on it. By doing this kind of psychological, we call it weapons, and we are greatly relieved from the stress, from the speech-related stress and performance fear. That helped me a lot. And yeah, but it's clear that I'm not there yet. I still struggle from time to time, and presentation, I have a good control because I can prepare a lot in advance. Those chit chats, certain questions at the cafe corner, small talks at the side of the conference, I'm still working on. But I feel that I'm already in a good direction, and yeah, I'm happy about it. And yeah, with that, I do see a question. Would you stutter less in your mother tongue? Yes, definitely. So I think a big difference is in if you're speaking a foreign language, you need to formulate, right? You need to pick the words. You need to arrange the word in an order that is not intuitive for you. So definitely, and for people who stutter, like me, I worried about the pronunciation, whether people could understand me. And that's one of the biggest fear of people who stutter, right? What did you say? Then you have to say that again. Yeah, that's definitely, I stutter less in my native language, which is Mandarin Chinese. And yeah, thank you for listening. And Rick, do you want to take over?
Sure. Thank you so much, Faith and Hank, for your wonderful talk. And we'll have some time for question and answer. So just about me, actually, we did a presentation 2 years ago, 2022, about the TSA. So I'm not going to repeat, what was said 2 years ago, because you can, our presentation is still on YouTube. So the TSA was founded January 2021, and it started with just 6 people. Then it grew to 20 people, 80 people, and today we have 120 people. But that's not enough because there's an estimated 24,000 people who stutter in Taiwan, and our goal is really to to bring people who stutter in Taiwan out of the closet. So, because so many of us, I'm sure all of us here can relate, is that we try to hide our stuttering, like Hank said. We are people who stutter, but we try to hide it and pretend to be fluent. So our goal is to bring stuttering out into the open. We're going to be on TV. We're going to be in radio. We're going to, we're going to have a doctors who stutter, engineers who stutter, famous people who stutter, and then we're going to, in a way, normalize stuttering, to that stuttering is not a problem, but it's more of a condition, like an accent, like Vikesh said. And just a little bit about me, I was born in Taiwan and then immigrated to the US, and then went to school in California. So I got no help like Hank when I was in Taiwan. And I think my parents, they knew I stuttered I was a severe child who stuttered, and they didn't know what to do. So they just sent me to chorus, just to singing classes. And then I guess so I went to a lot of, chorus, groups. And then I think now I know why, because they were trying to, help me with my stuttering. And then I actually got no help in the US for my stuttering until I was an adult. I think maybe so the teachers just think that I was still learning English, so that's how I was stuttering. So that's not fair. And so I said after I became an adult and I was in college, I went to a bunch of stuttering programs in the US. Too many if you name it, I probably went to it. So I went to a lot of programs, and then unfortunately, I was able to become a mentor, and a coach in one of the stuttering treatment programs, and I was able to help young people who stutter, and that was very beneficial. So our goal in Taiwan is to increase our membership, and then also bring outside knowledge to the guest speakers to Taiwan. And one of the most memorable events is that we had Anita Bloom from Sweden. Anita gave us a presentation on resiliency, and that was really powerful. And she will probably be here later today. So and then we have, of course, we have Cynthia as a guest speaker, who's a board member, and yeah. So I really appreciate all the international help, and if you want to be a guest speaker, we can arrange you in the future, but only if you have good stuff. So something I want to show you. What's this? What's this? This is a chopstick, right? So one chopstick can be easily broken, right? But how about if you have two chopsticks? Well, two chopsticks, it's harder to break, right? But now what happens if you have 10 chopsticks, a bunch of chopsticks? I'm strong, but can you break it? No. So that's the power of the group. So we just don't want people in Taiwan to feel alone, and we want them to know that we are there for them, and that they have support, and that unconditional support and love. So, and then many of the people who stutter, adults who stutter, have suffered from social anxiety. They don't know how to social because they are ostracized because of stuttering. And that's why we have events, we have social events, dinner get together, and then like face the drive. We had a speaking challenge where we shut up our phones, and then we went to talk to people, asking for directions, and then volunteer, and that was a very beneficial event. So we had almost 20 people, and that was a fantastic event, and we hope to do that again more in the future. And then we're going to have a Japanese visitor actually in a Monday. So so if any of you want to visit Taiwan in the future, please come, and then we will host you, and I will buy you coffee for sure. And yeah, so can't get the great advice about just don't hide your stuttering. That's probably the most important part. Just acceptance, and then be confident. And then I think I was telling people that you help yourself by helping others. And then, of course, there's also cultural reasons about related to Taiwan. And then, so what applies in the US may not apply necessarily in Taiwan or Hong Kong or Singapore, just because of the Eastern culture. So because Western culture encourages to stand out, to challenge. But Eastern culture, the Confucius culture, just wants you to conform, to obey your parents, to obey your teachers, to obey your elders, and then just study hard, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer, and make money, and don't question authority. So, but then, Western culture encourages, to be different, and difference is good. And they want you to ask questions. So that's a roadblock for people to come out. And but that Taiwan is the first country in Asia to legalize gay marriage. So as a member of the stuttering community, I always felt that we can learn a lot from the gay, lesbian, bi community on how they can defeat the stereotypes and then normalize homosexuality and transgender and bisexuality. So, and I'll be keep pushing for that in the future. And yeah, so I think we'll have about 5 minutes. Does anybody have questions? Tom, you got any good questions? Anybody?
Maybe I can Michael,
Yeah.
you want to say something, Michael?
Michael O'Shea, yeah. It's just a question for yourself. What is your opinion on this from your own experiences? There's two kinds of verbal sufferings. Two kinds. There's the suffering of the mind and there's the suffering of the body. Which one was the most prominent in your experience, your journey?
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. That's a very good question. I forgot to mention that stuttering was an iceberg for me for almost 25 years. So like Hank and other people here, I was very intelligent as a kid, so I can almost hide my stuttering by word switching, by just studying hard, by just avoiding asking questions in class. So I just stay quiet, So that's a suffering of the mind. And I was never a severe stutterer. I was a moderate stutterer, and I'm almost a covert stutterer, and that's the situation for a lot of people in Taiwan. They don't have on the surface, they don't have a severe problem, but a lot of their stress and suffering is from inside, from themselves, So because they want to be fluent, but they know that they stutter and they're suffering inside. So our goal is to help young people to be confident, to be the confident young man and young woman they can be. And with children who stutter, we don't have much resources right now to help children who stutter and talk about those from 5 to 12, because they're really young children. So that's something we're going to do, We'll start a support group for parents, start a support group for young children. So yeah, so thank you, good question. Anybody else? We have about a minute, or we're going to have Jim Powell, who's great. And I'll say this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Taiwan is about 40 years behind the UK. Because those Britons that had a king who stuttered, so Taiwan is 40 years behind the England and the US. So I'm hoping we can catch up. But we're really behind in terms of public attitude. And just professors, professors who stutter, who look down on people who stutter, who don't respect people who stutter, and that needs to change, So they can retire, but for the new generation, we need to be respected. We're not just patients. We're not TBI patients. We're people who stutter. So thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. And that's all being recorded, so I might get in trouble, But I don't care, This we're tired of being discriminated against, Enough is enough. And I'll return the control back to Tom, and I'm looking forward to John Powell. Thank you so much.